Hey, it's Kevin. Thanks for stopping by for another No BS social media chat. Last week we talked about posting frequency, how often you should post to the social media. And I would advise you, if you haven't watched that, to go ahead and watch it because it's going to kind of dovetail into this week. Today we're talking about cutting through the clutter. And I think the biggest problem we're having with social media right now is now that everybody, and I do mean everybody, is involved with social media, that means there's more stuff in your timeline and more friends and more fans and more followers, and they're following more people, and it just, well, it becomes noise. And it's funny, they talk about this with recording artists all the time. I deal a lot with artists, not just specifically, the music business, but a lot of times they say the hardest thing that artists are understanding these days is now that the tools are cheaper, now that anybody can record an album in their basement, now that they can record it on their Mac computer, or even heck, there have been albums recorded on iPads. Now that it's easier for everybody to record, that means there's more people recording. That means it's not a smaller pie. So you've got to fight your way through the clutter. So the same thing goes for social media. I remember when we were first involved in social media now a decade ago. Boy, every time I post something, you get a lot of people reacting to it. Now, maybe that was the MySpace days and things have changed. But let's just, talk your Facebooks and your Instagrams and your YouTube stuff. I'll even use YouTube. It's amazing when I go back through and I track all the data on even just my personal YouTube feed, my YouTube channel, if you will. And not just these videos, but I'm talking our Intensity Media Music, by the way, our username on YouTube, or just me, Kevin Mason Music on YouTube. I used to do, video blogs on there, and I do a bunch of different stuff on the YouTube channel. Well, what's amazing is back a couple of 2-3 years ago, I was getting more subscribers then than I am now. 2-3 years ago, I was getting more daily video plays, and there is no viral video on my accounts necessarily. There are some that have gotten some good pop, but for the most part, nothing's really, cut through and been a multi-million. I think I've got hundreds of thousands of views, but I'm not seeing that number these days. If I get 100 views in a week, it's a good week. Now, I'm not putting a lot of content on there every week anymore, and maybe that's the case. But also, I see it with the artists I work with. I have artists who put out a video every week on YouTube, and they're not seeing the response now that they were seeing a year ago, let alone 2 years ago. And I think that's because we're having a hard time cutting through the clutter. There are more people vying for our attention. There are more people saying, hey, or I shouldn't even say saying, they're shouting, hey, look at me, hey, pay attention to me. And it's almost like they're jumping up and down like a little kid in the backseat going, Remember the old TV show Welcome Back, Kotter? With Horshack always raising his hand going, ooh, 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 ooh. It's kind of that with social media. I think some people just kind of put out tons of content and overshare, going back to last week's post, to try to cut through the clutter, to try to respond. And it's kind of funny where, again, you have to understand your audience. It's not just so simple to put something out there and expect to get return. The other day, I guess it was probably a couple weeks ago now, I changed my Facebook cover photo on my personal page. And if you want to be friends, I'm Kevin Mason on Facebook, KevinMason. And I changed my Facebook profile photo. Now, I usually do it about 11, 12 o'clock at night when I've got some free time, and I just, I think I'll change it. And I changed it to a picture of an old drive-in theater that I took a picture of in Indiana a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't think anything of it. Well, I ended up getting half a dozen likes on the photo. Now, normally when I post something at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't get much, maybe 1 or 2, and it's usually the same couple of people. Now, that wasn't the case. I got some people who said, wow, it's kind of funny how that showed up in their feed. That's kind of cool. And I didn't expect it, so it was kind of a nice little added bonus. You never know when you're going to sometimes post something and it's going to really get a response, and it's going to surprise you. I see that on Instagram all the time. I'm really personally obsessed with Instagram. And I post some content, and I was like, man, this is going to be huge. I'm going to get a lot of likes. I'm going to get a lot of comments. And you can almost hear the crickets. It does decently. I get my 150, 120 likes on it, but it's not a big one. The other day I saw one of those, I had a picture, and I went, oh man, I'm going to post this and it's going to be huge. And I had like 94 likes on that photo in the first hour, which for me is amazing. And last I checked a couple of weeks ago, it was up to like 215, 220 likes, which is a big post for me. But I just knew it was going to be in the sweet spot of my fan following. Well, it's understanding that fan following. I knew it would cut through the clutter, but it wasn't something that I could consciously do. So you really have to do is you have to pay attention. You have to understand, and you have to hope for the best. And a lot of times it's like throwing Hail Mary passes in football. A lot of times you have to think it's going to go on, you're going to hope it's going to go, and you're just going to have to go out and throw it out there and see what happens. And I think that's kind of the case. I wish there was an easy answer to how you cut through the clutter, but it's not oversharing. It's putting out good content. It's putting out unique content. But more importantly, it's having an audience that cares about connecting with you. It's about having an audience who wants to be connected to you. I've got a lot of Facebook friends, and I use the friends in quotes, who don't pay any attention to anything I do. They're too worried about their own stuff, and they're real close friends. So I may be a casual friend, so they're not responding to a lot of stuff I do. That's okay. It kind of comes with the territory. So what I do is I try to groove my content to make sure it fits the people who really care. It fits my fan base, if you will, and that's most important. So there are no easy answers to cutting through the clutter. Practice makes perfect, and more importantly, great content. Next week, hopefully more great content for you. Feel free to share. NoBSSocial.com, our website. You can, of course, find the No BS Social videos on YouTube as well, too. Wherever you find them, please feel free to share them. Please come back again next week, and we'll see you. Thanks.